everybody to this meeting of the local review body of the 17th of April 2018. I can confirm the meeting has been properly called and is quorate. Can I please ask members to appoint a chairman for this meeting? Is that unanimous, Councillor Martin? Okay, thank you.
I'd like to welcome everyone along to the meeting of the local review body, 17th August 2018. As she said, as Gail Clare said, I can confirm that that the meeting has been properly quorate. The meeting Sederunt. Could I have the Sederunt and apologies, please?
Okay, thank you, Chair. 5 members present this morning. No apologies.
Has any of the members got any declarations of interest? Make sure. No. That's fine. And just remind everyone that the meeting may be recorded and subsequently made available to the public for listening purposes. And to remind you to make sure all mobile phones are switched off. Right. Thank you. Thank you. I could ask the clerk to read out the notice of review.
Thank you, Chair. I'll take you through the documents for today's meeting. We have one notice of review for today, being item 4, site adjacent to A713, approximately 200 metres north of Barskeoch Mains, Castle Douglas. Refusal of planning permission for erection of dwelling house, detached double garage, boilerhouse and store, and installation of septic tank and soakaway 161135 FUL. You have the usual documents in your papers, being the notice of review, report and handling, observations of interested parties, planning application form, decision letters, Dumfries and Galloway Council, relevant extracts of the Dumfries and Galloway Local Development Plan, photos of the application site and locality. The ground stated for refusal, in this case on page 362 of your papers, being the proposal is contrary to policy OP2 of the Local Development Plan and the supplementary guidance on design quality of new development, in that, by virtue of contextual design and form, proposed dwelling house would not be sympathetic to the local built forms, nor would it adequately respect the existing physical and landscape features of the site. And 2, the proposal is contrary to policy H3 of the Local Development Plan and the supplementary guidance on housing in the countryside, in that it has not been demonstrated that there is a sound business case and that justifies the scale of the proposed development. The requested methods of determination on page 10 of your papers are that the applicant has requested that the review be dealt with as for the review of the relevant information provided in your papers without any further procedure. The grounds stated in the notice of review are, in summary, 1, the application presents a unique set of circumstances where a site has been contaminated due to the council's road department. Despite the council having contaminated the site, the owner is now willing to decontaminate it at his own expense and build an attractive and sustainable home. This will result in a considerable improvement in the visual appearance of the site and the removal of the eyesore and contamination at no expense to the council. The house proposed is not a commercial proposition and is contended that a business case is not required to justify the development of one house with a limited footprint. The design is appropriate, respectful of local traditions and fits well into the landscape. The application's positive pre-application support from the council, and there were no objections to the application. The report on handling states at paragraph 4.3 that the principle of developing a house here to rehabilitate a brownfield site is supported. The council's contaminated land officer considers that there would be considerable environmental benefits to be gained from the remediation of the site, and there will be no other pressing requirements for the site to be used for other purposes. A dwelling house would be appropriate. Paragraph 4.5 of the report for handling then goes on to analyse the proposal in context of the supplementary guidance. This paragraph stresses the importance of the criterion details on page 7 of the supplementary guidance to minimise the development to only that which is absolutely necessary to secure rehabilitation. Setting aside all other text within the criterion, the key text is to provide the key test for a successful application to meet is that it can show and demonstrate to the satisfaction of the council that there is a sound business case for the development, and that for that business case to address and take into account all matters that pertain to that development. This is an application by an individual to build a single house, not for commercial reasons, but rather as a means of building a new home to allow a sustainable lifestyle. In summary, the proposed development is not a risk, it is not an overdevelopment of the site, and provides a very sound practical case for allowing the rehabilitation of a problem site. While the reason for refusal states the proposal is not sympathetic to local built forms and therefore fails to be a contextual design and form, it is countered here that such criterion are less relevant for a single dwelling in a remote location than they would be for a volume development on the edge of a settlement location. This proposal showcases the type of creative architectural expression that would be difficult to accommodate elsewhere because of its unique design. It is considered here that the design is fully in accordance with policy OP2. Overall, it is considered that proposed design is in accordance with policy OP2 and the current supplementary guidance on design quality of new development in terms of form and design. The proposal is considered to be a thoughtful yet expressive design response to a site that is currently blighted by its brownfield legacy. With the further comments by interested parties being the comments of the appointed officer, you have all the relevant development plan policies in your papers, so that the main issues for the local review body to consider today are: does the proposal conform to the relevant development plan policies? Specifically, does the proposal comply with policy OP2 of the local development plan and the supplementary guidance on design quality of new development in terms of its design and form? Would it be sympathetic to the local built forms? Would it adequately respect the physical and landscape features of the site? Does the proposal comply with policy H3 of the local development plan and the supplementary guidance on the housing in the countryside, And has a sound business case been put forward that justifies the scale of the proposed development? It is considered that proposal represents a departure from the development plan. Are there any considerations which, weighed together, would support a decision to grant permission contrary to the terms of the development plan? If so, would the stated reasons be to depart from the terms of the development plan in this particular case? So, having outlined the documents within the members' papers, it now falls to the LRB to determine if it has sufficient information to consider the review. It is confirmed that no representations will be heard from any party today. The local review body has the following options. It can decide it has sufficient information before it to determine the review today, request further information in the form of written representations. In doing this, the LRB would have to state precisely what information it was seeking and who would provide it, resolve to hold a hearing, again specifying who would be invited to speak and on what matters, resolve to hold a site visit, accompanied or unaccompanied. This can be done in conjunction with any of the above, but would not allow a decision to be made today. And the local review body can resolve it has sufficient information and no further procedure is required, and then the local review body has the full powers to uphold, reverse or vary a determination. The decision notice would include a statement of the terms in which the planning authority has decided the case reviewed. You have a planning advisor present at your meeting. He is here to assist for this item. It's confirmed he has not had any involvement in this case. I was not the case officer or the appointed officer for the application. He's here purely to provide independent advice on matters of planning policy, law or process to the local review body. So if members are clear and no further clarification is required, I'll ask the chairman now to lead the debate, and in the first instance to lead the local review body through the agenda papers together to decide if you have sufficient information for you to make a determination today.
Thank you, Claire. The members think it would be advantageous to see the pictures before they go forward.
Thank you, Chair. just before I start showing the pictures, these replicate the photos in the papers in front of you from pages 493 to 497. They've been provided to me by the appointed officer. I haven't been out and visited the site myself, so these photos are not my own. These are the photos that have been supplied to me along with the captions. First picture is a view within the site. It's a view to the north, with the site actually on the right hand side. So that's looking towards the A713. That's a view from the north over the application site. If it helps at all, there is a site plan on page 134 and a location plan on page 133. So you can see that the application site is located just to the east of the A713 public road. That's Castlestair Road. This is a view into the centre of the application site along the existing access. This is a view along the existing access towards the A713. And this is a view showing some of the structures on the site. It is obviously one of the characteristics of the site is it has a brownfield nature to it, and that's recognised in the report. That's a view showing some of the road scrapings that have been dumped on the site by the council in the past.
Any members? No, nothing in that one. Thank you. Page 17 to 66, report on handling determined under delegated powers and related correspondence. Is there any points of clarification on that? In there. Number 3, observations. Oh, Ronnie. No. Page 67 to 69, observations of the appointed officer on the applicant's agent's notice of review. Anything in that? Members would like to raise? No. Page 71 to page 358, the planning application form submitted on the 23rd of August 2016, associated plans, including amended plans and supporting information. Any members got anything they would like to raise on there? It's quite an extensive read, like. Is members clear? No points need clarified in that? Or any observations? Nope. Number 5, the decision letter, that's pages 359 to 366. The decision letter from Dumfries and Galloway Council dated 8th of November 2017. John.
Thank you, Chair. I wonder if Robert could explain, bottom of page 32, the necessity of a sound business case when this is a private dwelling.
Sorry, Chair, in relation to page 32?
Sorry, Robert, page 362.
Sorry, I misheard you.
The second, the last paragraph, in that it has not been demonstrated that there is a sound business case that justifies this development. Why a business case?
Looking at the second, these are the appointed officer's reasons for refusal of the application. So looking at the actual delegated report, the report on handling, if I'm referring to that, it's a link into H3 of the local development plan. Now, the report on handling amplifies this point, so looking at paragraphs 4.5 and 4.6 of the delegated report. And I'll just get the page number just shortly. It's on page 23 of the papers. So at 4.5 it provides what the supplementary guidance, the adopted supplementary guidance of the Council's LDP provides relative to brownfield development. And what it says in the second part of the first paragraph at 4.5 is consent will not be granted unless the developer can show and demonstrate to the satisfaction of the Council that there is a sound business case for the proposed development, and for that business case to address and take into account all matters that pertain to the development. You then, in the appointed officer's report, you have further paragraphs beneath with a couple of bullet points which references the report and valuation submitted with the application and the costing information too. At 4.6, the appointed officer then in the report draws the conclusion that the information as submitted fails to demonstrate that the scale of the development has been based on a financially sound business case as required by the supplementary guidance, and on that basis has concluded that because it's not been demonstrated that there's a sound business case that justifies the scale of the proposed development, it's contrary to policy H3 and the associated supplementary guidance. The counterpoint to that is from the applicant's agent's submission, which has come in since the determination of the application, and it's been taken against the officer's delegated report. So what you're looking at there are, I think it's provided at pages 13 to 15. So that provides a summary of the applicant's reasoning, and they've provided comments. If you look halfway down page 13, they've provided comments particularly on the business case, and it looks at paragraphs 4.3 and 4.5 of the report on handling. It states it's an application by an individual to build a single dwelling house not for commercial reasons, but rather as a means of building a new home to allow a sustainable lifestyle. They feel that the information shows that the applicant is committed to the project as an individual landowner rather than a commercial house builder. And they feel that a different interpretation should have been taken of the supplementary guidance and the policy. So what they do in relation to that point in their submission, and this is now on page 14, just concluding the point about the business case, they feel that in summary the proposed development is not a risk, is not overdevelopment of the site, and provides a very sound practical case for allowing the rehabilitation of a problem site. So you have the differing views to weigh up there. To add to that, you've got the appointed officer comments, which appear on page 69 of the papers. So again, this is looking at point 1, is looking at the point of justification, a sound business case, if you like. And what the appointed officer has said, having read the applicant's further comments accompanying the local review case, has been the supplementary guidance states consent will not be granted unless the developer can show and demonstrate to the satisfaction of the council that there is a sound business case for the proposed development, and for that business case to take into account all matters that pertain to the development. The appointed officer then refers back to paragraphs 4.5 and 4.6 of the report on handling, and again concludes it's not been demonstrated that there is a sound business case for the proposed development, and therefore again feels it's contrary to policy H3 and the associated supplementary guidance. So the whole point about the business case, it's in the supplementary guidance, it's a direct link to policy H3 of the present local development plan. The appointed officer thinks there hasn't been a sound business case made. The applicant has submitted in their statement why they feel there is a sound business case, and it's obviously for members of the local review body to look at the evidence that's been presented and draw a conclusion on that particular issue. I'm not sure if that helps, Chair, but that's my kind of summary of the issue, if you like.
Not much like it comes in page 27 when it gives you the costs, what it costs to build it and what the potential values are on page 27.
Yes, that information was also in front of the officer. That came in before the final report was published and considered by the officer, so that was taken into account, yes, and so it's relevant for you to take that into account today.
Thanks for that. Members got any other points? Davey?
I agree with what you're saying there. There's a lot to read and take in these papers, but there's also the issue of where the total piece of land has not been cleared. Apparently there's still an area that's not been decontaminated, if you like, and that raises concerns as well. And I think you raised the point about, you asked for costings, and you were getting about £28,000 or something was going to be the cost of decontamination, and you've come up with the figures of 394,000 plus the cost of the house, which is 644,000. Which is quite concerning if we're getting diverse opinions on what should be done with this contaminated land and how it should be used and the cost to reclaim it, if you like. It's quite confusing, but we'll wait till we've been through all the papers.
The figure I've got for decontamination is on page 23 and it's in the appointed officer's report. So the cost that's been submitted to decontaminate the land here is £25,100 to £28,440, and that's been the information that's been submitted as part of the application.
Page 28. Any other points from any other members? Number 5, the decision letter from Dumfries and Galloway Council dated 8th of November 2017. That's pages 359 to 366. Nothing in that. Number 6, the relevant extracts from the Dumfries and Galloway Local Development Plan. Is there any members need any points of clarification on that? The members, you see that? If members are satisfied with going through we went through that, is there anything anybody wants to bring up? It's on that they may have missed. Nope. Go forward. Any members who've got the options that are available to them, as Claire has read out, decide it's sufficient information before it to enable it to determine a review today. To request further information in the form of written representations, the RRB will be required to state precisely the information it is seeking and who must provide it. To resolve to hold a hearing again, resolve to hold a site visit, accompanied or otherwise, or if the local review body resolves that it has sufficient information and that no further procedure is required, then the local review body has the full powers to uphold, reverse or vary determination. The decision notice will include a statement of the terms in which the planning authority has decided the case. Members, what option are there? In your hands. John?
I would move that we have sufficient information to make a decision today.
That's fine.
I'll agree with that,
Everybody agree with that, right? Is what members have any views on what the decision should be then? Right.
Chair, I'll move to approve this subject to conditions that we have a full decontamination and that is kept in tradition with local with traditional tower houses. I've come to that decision because policy H3 housing in the countrysides says beneficial redevelopment of a brownfield site.
Okay, just stop you. The main issues for a local review body to consider: does the proposal conform to the relevant development plan policies? Specifically, does the proposal comply with policy OP2 of the local development plan and the supplementary guidance on design quality of the new development in terms of its design and form? Would it be sympathetic to the local built forms? Would it be adequately respect the physical landscape and features of the site? Does the proposal comply with policy H3 of the local development plan and the supplementary guidance on housing in the countryside? On housing in the countryside, has a sound business case been put forward that justifies the scale of the proposed development? If it is considered that the proposal represents a departure from the development plan, are there other considerations which, weighed together, would support a decision to grant permission contrary to the terms of the development plan? If so, what would the stated reason be to depart from the terms of the development plan in a particular case? So, what's contrary to?
Well, Chair, I was coming on to housing in the countryside H3. I believe that the requirement to actually decontaminate and bring brownfield land into operation, be it through dwelling, I think that's that has greater weight in the development plan than what's proposed here as a business plan for that site. As for OP2, it's my opinion of the development plan and my opinion of the policy that this actually does fit in with traditional Scottish buildings.
Not sure about that. Is that a reason, Robert? No.
It's within the gift of the members of the local review body to decide how they determine the case, but you must have regard to the development plan unless material considerations indicate otherwise. If you are thinking that something should be granted as an exception to the development plan, then you would need to give reasons for doing so.
Well, let's say, I don't think a sound business case has been put forward on this, so I'll go with the planning officer's recommendations. John?
Thank you, Chair. I would support Councillor Justy's comments that this is an exception. It's adding value to the brownfield site. It will grow the economy. It will be an asset in this area. I'm happy to second Councillor Justy's motion.
Roy?
Yeah, no.
There's no business case. That's fine. Davy?
No, in reading planning reference, page 69, I think the bit in the italics, consent will not be granted unless the developer can show and demonstrate to the satisfaction of the council that there is a sound business case for a proposed development and that for a business case to take into account all matters that pertain to the development. I don't believe that has been done, and I would fully support your motion, Chair.
Right, Andrew, could you give us your stated reasons then? Why it should be contrary to the planning exam?
Sorry, Chair. No, I believe this should go through because OP2, it's actually referred that north of this site there is a tower house of a similar design to what we're looking at here. So there are buildings of this nature in the local area.
Each planning application should be treated on its own merit.
But if we're looking at the locality in the area and the buildings within the area, then, and that's a stated reason in this document, and
Chair, if it helps at all, probably the best reference point is the decision notice, because that crystallises the basis upon which the original decision was taken. So if you look at page 362, the appointed officer's view is it's contrary to policy OP2 of the local development plan and the adopted supplementary guidance on design quality of new development. And the basis for that is the appointed officer has taken the view that the proposed dwelling house would not be sympathetic to local built forms, nor would it adequately respect the existing physical and landscape features of the site. From what you're saying is, if you're saying that you think the dwelling house would actually be sympathetic to local built forms and it would respect the existing physical and landscape features of the site, what you're saying is, in your view, that actually does comply with policy OP2, you know, and there's no conflict there in the grounds that the appointed officer stated. Turning to the second reason, the proposal is contrary to policy H3 of the local development plan and the supplementary guidance in housing in the countryside, because that's requiring that there has to be demonstration of a sound business case that justifies the scale of the proposed development. You've got two options here. You can take the interpretation that actually, from what you've seen in the papers, there is a sound business case there that does justify the scale of the proposed development, in which case what you're saying is it's your view that that does comply with policy H3, or you're saying, well, this is an exception to policy H3 and the supplementary guidance, but nevertheless you want to support the development for stated reasons. And if you give planning reasons as to why you're not following your own policy, you can do that as well. I don't know if that helps, Chair.
That'll help you, Andrew, to get your...
That helps me, but sorry, Chair. While I'm reading policy H3, housing in the countryside, the council will support housing proposals in the countryside where the proposal meets one or more of the following criteria. And I'm going straight down to beneficial redevelopment of a brownfield site. And if we go into the supplementary guidance on page 456 and read the rural brownfield site supplementary guidance, that's adequate to me to allow this to counteract the officer's recommendation of why we should refuse it on H3 grounds.
That's fine. John?
Thank you, Chair. And I think it's important to have the condition that Councillor Giusti mentioned, that the council is able to ensure the ground has been completely decontaminated before this build goes ahead.
Fine. So,
With due respect, I think that's the big issue. Councillor Giusti is looking at the building or the house, but I think we've got to look at the state of the land and the condition it's in and what it'll cost to bring that back into use properly and safely. And I don't think that's been justified in the papers we've got before us today. Hence, I think, although it talks about brownfield site, there's brownfield sites and brownfield sites, and this is about the worst that we've come across before up to now. So I would certainly uphold the officer's decision on that basis.
just on that, I think contamination, like I think what they say that unless the council has said the ground has definitely been decontaminated, and it is in the papers that this will be done at the applicant's costs. So if it did cost 300,000, 30,000, 300,000, it's up to the applicant to meet the costs. Sorry, David.
Can I just ask a question on that basis, and Chair? If we decided to give them permission to build on there, would it be subject to the ground conditions being appropriate? Would we monitor that and make sure that it's been done properly before any building's done?
Robert.
Thanks, Chair. Just on conditions, that's within the gift of the local review body as well to attach whichever conditions you feel are appropriate if you're minded to grant planning permission here. I'm now looking at the consultation responses to help me with guidance for that. Now, Council Board's planning team leaders' responses on page 41 to 42. So at the top of page 42, they have a recommended list of conditions. There's 7 of them. And there's a couple of directives which are simply advisory. I would ask, Chair, if members are minded to grant permission, I would certainly recommend that you include those conditions. So those are the ones listed on page 42. Coming on to the contaminated land issue, you've got various comments in the papers, starting at page 43 and working forwards to about page 50 from the contaminated land officer. I would suggest, with the guidance of the local review body, I could draft up a condition, and you're probably looking at, if you look at page 45, the top of that, condition C317, which is a fairly standard condition which prevents development of the site until it's been adequately demonstrated it's been remediated, because you don't want to develop a contaminated land site that's going to present a health issue for occupants potentially. So that could easily be imposed as well. In terms of other conditions, those are at your discretion. For example, would you want a condition that officers agreed finishes for the dwelling house? Would you want a condition on landscaping, for example? These are things you maybe want to think about. But I would certainly recommend the condition recommended from the contaminated land officer on page 45 and the conditions from the roads officer on page 42 as a minimum.
Andrew?
Thanks for letting me in, Chair. I agree with those conditions, but can we also delegate the officers to add any other conditions that they feel or maybe necessary that we've maybe overlooked here. Can we give that delegation?
We can do, if you give an indication you want to do that on certain topics. For example, if you want to see a landscaping scheme submitted or agreement of finishes. I'm struggling to think of anything else really for a case like this, apart from contamination and the roads conditions as well, that you would want to put on. But you know, I'm happy to be guided by members on that one. Yeah, it can be done.
I think most of the conditions are actually their design, the design provision, car parking, etc. I think there's most of the things that can have thought of, plus the contaminated land. Unless anybody could think, is there any other conditions that we'd like to see imposed if the vote does go for this to take place? Because I still think there's not been a business case. They're saying they don't need a business case, like, but as I say, I think the costs of building compared to the value. I know it's in there, like it's a matter of supposition in it. You're taking the planning officers against the applicants. That's it. So if there's nothing else, like as I say, we've got a motion, we've got a vote. I don't think it really needs to go. Right, take that to the vote.
Thank you. Right, I've got a motion proposed by Councillor Juicy, seconded by Councillor Young, to reverse the decision and grant the planning permission on the basis that the application complies with OP2 and it is sympathetic to the local built forms, and it complies with H3 policy with regard to redevelopment of a brownfield site, to be subject to a number of conditions, those on page 42 of the papers, C104, C112, C117, C121, 122, 124, 134, and also a condition on the contaminated land, C317. And I have an amendment proposed by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor McKee, to uphold the decision of the appointed officer and refuse the planning application. Okay, so so going to the vote then. Chair.
Amendment.
Councillor Juicy.
Motion.
Councillor McKee.
Amendment.
Councillor Tate. Motion. Councillor Young.
Motion.
Motion's carried 3 votes to 2.
Fine, as I've no other further business, I'd like to thank you for attending this local review board today. Thank you.